Hey team, if you really want to get better at boxing, you should be shadow boxing more. A lot of people do it wrong, so this is your essential guide to shadow boxing. Let's go. Now, particularly as a beginner, shadow boxing can seem not necessarily intimidating, but it makes you feel a little bit awkward if you're in the gym because you don't really know what you should or shouldn't be doing. So you see a lot of people shadow box kind of like this. Okay, it is shadow boxing. And if you're going to do that as a warm-up to loosen your shoulders off, by all means, just be there loosening your shoulders off. That's fine, but I'm not really imitating a fight. So, what should we do? How should we do it? We'll get through this stage by stage. And if you're a complete beginner, we'll go from what you should be working on, then adding a bit, then adding a bit, then adding a bit, then adding a bit. And if you're already quite advanced at that, you can skip ahead in the video to where the other parts are. First and foremost, you should be starting with your footwork. Your foot placement and how you move your feet is actually way more important than your punches. It is your delivery system, it's how you get your punches to your target. If you have no delivery system, you have no way of punching your target. So by all means, start with your footwork. And if it is even just basic footwork to begin with, then that's good. You can never over practice your footwork. Boxing is all about creating movement patterns, whether that's punching patterns, footwork patterns, head movement patterns, and repeating them over and over and over again until they're ingrained and you don't have to think about it. So it's just literally moving forwards, moving backwards, moving laterally, moving on the diagonal line, pivot steps, inside, outside, back foot pivot steps, and without losing your foundation. Now, we all know I'm a southpaw, but we all know the majority of you are orthodox. So I'm going to try my best to not mess this up and do it orthodox. So if you've never done it before, hold your position, hold your frame, okay? You don't want to be practicing your footwork like this. Yeah, it's all about keeping this frame. So if you're going to do a footwork round, 10, 20 seconds of it might look like this. Just working it and imagining there is someone in front of you. Once you've got that, we're going to add subtle head movement to that, not punches. If you need to work on your head movement, which most people do, okay, you could adopt something like this. Now, everyone here playfully has named this the penis bag. All it is though, this is a piece of industrial pipe insulation, like your heating pipe insulation. You buy it in lengths, and I've just cut it down into, I also use it for hitting people around the head when they're dropping their hands. But I've just taped one to a bag. You could tape it to a wall, tape it to a ring, anything that's roughly head height. And this is a great exercise if you're not doing this. If you go close to that, I know I'm southpaw. If I want to slip, it's not this movement here. That's missed by a mile. I'm just going to put my head down the side, windscreen wash down the side, roll underneath it, pull back from it. I'll do it slowly first. So I've got my hands up, either side, slipping it, rolling it, putting back, side to side. So what I'm actually doing is side to side, slip, roll, pull, side to side. And I'm not doing any particular pattern. I'm just here. Like so, hands are up nice and tight. Your next stage of getting your shadow boxing is to be able to do your footwork and move your head. So let's have a look how that will look. I may have to do this southpaw, but you'll get the idea. So I'm just going to move around whilst moving my head. And it doesn't have to be Huge movements. Those of you that know what a floor to ceiling ball is, if you're a complete beginner, it is a ball attached to 2 bungees. How hard is that to hit? Because it's going all over the place. If it was just still, you can hit it easily. This is the same principle. It doesn't have to be big movements. I don't have to be like this, but I'm just going to move around and constantly move my head. So, with good footwork and a good frame and a good posture, you'll be here, just moving around, little movements. Changing levels, a little bit of movement. My head is never on that line stationary. Do a footwork round. Then do a head movement and footwork round. Once you've done that, we can start putting in the basic punches. So does this have to be fight paced right now? No. But what it does have to be is technically correct. So it's what I call disciplined practice. You've heard other people say, practice makes perfect. No, it doesn't. Perfect practice makes perfect. So if you're now going to do your footwork and put your head movement in, but every time you're going to throw a jab, you're doing this. Every time you throw a cross, you're doing this, putting your hand down. See, I'm leaning forwards on that as well. That is not good practice. You're just reinforcing bad habits. So if you are completely new to this channel and this is interesting you and you want to use this to get fitter, blah, 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 then maybe go back and look at some of the other videos that we've done on how to punch correctly, because you need good form and good posture for this to happen. So it doesn't have to be fight paced. It doesn't have to be crazy either. Just do your footwork, put your head movement in, put the odd jab in, put the odd cross in as well, with good technique. And what you will find is you're moving your head before and after your punches. Okay, rather than just which is fine to a degree. So how it might look, I'm not going to go crazy with it. It doesn't have to be amazing. We're just going to throw a couple of punches in. I'm not going to worry about hooks and uppercuts or anything like that yet. It's going to be here. Again, I'm probably going to have to do this southpaw, guys, because I'm not that good orthodox, to be fair. Some of you will say I'm not that good southpaw. Hey, I don't care. So I'm here, moving my head, good footwork in and out. Now I'm moving around the gym, good footwork, good technique on the punches, and I'm moving my head before and after, which makes your head a difficult target. Once you've got to that stage, that you're doing good footwork, you're moving around, you're keeping nice and tight in your stance, you're moving your head, subtle movements just has to be here, and you can put the odd punch on as well, whilst keeping your head moving. And you can do that in a round. Before you move on, excuse me, film yourself or look in a mirror and just keep an eye that we're not doing any silly habits on any of these punches from here, because we don't want to reinforce those bad habits. We want to reinforce good habits. But of course, the next stage is to add in all your other shots, your uppercuts, your hooks, your level changes, your shots to the body. Add all of that in. There is also one thing that most people forget to do when they're shadow boxing, particularly in the beginner stages. And we'll look at that after this. But next is just to add in your other punches. Now again, if you're hooking like this, it's not good. If you're uppercutting like this, it's not good. And the only reason why we do that is because we dick swing. For those of you who are not familiar with me, what I mean by dick swinging is a typical male thing that we do. It's egotistical driven because we want to hit something very hard, and we have this assumption if I pull my hand back here and swing it as hard as I can, it's probably going to be a more powerful shot. It's not. It'll feel like it, but it's not. And plus, if I'm boxing you and I go, you're going to see that coming a mile away and capitalise on the huge mistakes that I've made by doing that. So keep everything nice and tight. Look for the obvious things. This is again why you should do it in front of a mirror or film yourself. If I'm throwing my hook and my elbows like this, it's probably not a very good hook, is it? I need structure behind the punch. So all of that energy that I'm creating from the kinetic chain goes through that punch. If my elbow's like that, if you don't know why, one, you're hitting with the knuckles that are not good to hit with, and all the kinetic energy is actually going in that direction, and I'm trying to make an impact that direction, or that direction, okay? So, adding in other punches. And again, if you're new to my channel, there are instructional videos on all of the other shots as well for you to follow, so make sure that you are doing them correctly. So, footwork, subtle head movement, adding in the other punches as well. We're just here, subtle head movement. Might put some feints in now as well. Working my footwork backwards as well. Now, the one thing everyone forgets, we'll look at that next. So once you can do your footwork, then do your footwork and keeping your head off one. Don't do this. This is so common, I've got to say this. When you're moving your head. Might feel cool. You will not feel cool when you're laying on the ground looking up at the ceiling wondering what the shit just happened to you, okay? Bang, bang. Just keep your frame nice and tight. Slow this way around for most of you. So everyone forgets when they're shadow boxing, or most people forget when they're shadow boxing, to add in defense, okay? Now I know we're moving our head anyway, which in itself is defense. What I'm talking about is your high guard, your catches, your parries, whichever, from here. Deliberate slip and counter attacks from here. Everyone forgets it. Deliberate catch laybacks and crosses and things like that. Because they just go on the attack. So the key to this being is actually to visualize someone in front of you throwing a punch. How you're going to deal with it and how you're going to capitalize on it as well. Now, if you've never boxed and you've never sparred before, I appreciate that that is a little bit difficult because you have nothing to actually come from the memory bank to see how that works. However, it doesn't mean that you can't practice your defensive skills. And again, there's tons of videos on this channel about parries, catches, high guards, slips, rolls, and how to do them correctly. Remember, your defensive roll is not this. Head down here. The common teaching aid that we'll tell people is to draw a U shape with your eyes. So here is my U, okay? If you look, I'm not clever enough to get a letter U to come up on my screen when I do that. However, another way that I coach it is simply this. If you're throwing your back hand and you're rolling underneath a left hook, all it is, because when you throw your backhand, your right shoulder should be forwards, agreed? Here. Or left if you're a southpaw like myself, your left shoulder is forwards. All it actually is a squat followed by a reset of the shoulder. Yeah? Squat, reset of the shoulder. That's all it is. I don't have to go this crazy movement here, this big kind of like pendulum. I just have to get underneath the shot and reset my shoulder. If I'm going the other way, it's a squat and bringing the other shoulder forwards, ready to counter attack. That's just down, turn and up. Down, turn and up. It's all it has to be. It's not, anytime my head goes beyond the width of my stance, here, if I get hit now, I'm going down. Because I'm completely off balance. If I'm doing this and this, that's a massive mistake. It just has to be here, just here. You can make that bigger with a little bit of footwork. A little bit of footwork. A little bit of footwork. I don't have to go like this. So anyway, putting defensive movements in as well. Now I'm going to slow this right down so you can see. And I'm going to try my best to do this orthodox, because I appreciate I've done the other southpaw. If I do it full speed, you probably won't see the little catches and the little parries so much. So what I'm going to do is attempt to do this orthodox for you. And continuing to work like so. And the final stage, or the final two stages should I say, is putting yourself in a boxing ring so you can build up your ring awareness, know when you're up against the ropes, how to get off the ropes, visualizing, trapping someone on the ropes, working them into a corner, and then making it fight paced. In the beginning, it's perfectly fine to be doing this. Just making sure all your technique is good. Where you want to get to, if you really want to up your boxing game, do the steps that we've just spoke about, over and over again, and don't move on until you're comfortable you've mastered the last ones. Then when you've done all of those steps, and you're doing your footwork, you're doing your head movement before and after your punches, you're linking in all of your other punches and combinations as well, and you're working defensive stuff, and you're in a boxing ring, excuse me, you need to visualize an opponent. i.e., for instance, I know it's weird, it's a bit role play, and you might think, that's a bit too much for me. You'll get it eventually. If I have an opponent on the ropes here, I'm driving back to the ropes, and they start to escape this way, what do? Do I just let them go? No, I work to keep them on the ropes. Start to escape. Working here. Oh, they've got out. Holding the centre of the ring and things like that. It is by far one of the best types of workouts that you can do for boxing, without doubt. So last but not least, one of the other reasons why I think you should shadow box more, instead of hitting a heavy bag, hitting pads, hitting floor to ceiling ball, is you can't really get your technique wrong or your range wrong in doing so. I would look a complete, some of you will say I look like a complete tool anyway, but I would say I would look a complete tool if I was shadow boxing like this. Which some people, more people than don't actually, are too close on a punch bag. So they're hitting the bag at this range. Too close, that is not jab range. That's more my mid-range uppercut and hook range. So you can't really do that when you're shadow boxing. I will fully extend them punches, fully extend them punches. I will learn to retract my punches when I'm shadow boxing, because the other thing that people do when they're hitting pads or a bag is they end the combination on the punch. What do I mean by that? Say they'll throw a jab cross, on pads for instance. They'll go, boom! That was a really good one. Boom! Oh yeah, I felt really good on that backhand. You've probably just got hit in sparring. Why? Because there are 3 rotations to a jab cross, not 2. What do I mean by that? 1 rotation, 2 rotations. If I do 2 rotations and stop here and just drop my hand, boom, oh yeah, that was really, really good. That is awful practice. 3 rotations, 1, 2, 3. Getting back to your stance. So again, you'd look a bit silly shadow boxing if you were to do this. You'll probably find you're naturally getting back to your stance better. If you follow that process and you repeat it over and over again, not only is it going to boost your cardio, 2, next time you go sparring, if you've not done your shadow boxing like that, next time you go sparring, having done that process, and you're there and you're moving your head and your opponent's probably going to go, the hell? Where do I hit? Oh, no, it's over there. Oh. It will make you better at boxing 100%. You should all shadow box more, in my opinion. Do you agree with what I've just said? Do you agree with the steps that I've just put in? If so, let me know in the comments below. I hope this was helpful for you. Until next time, train hard, train safe, train intelligently, and I'll see you soon.